and welcome to this video in which I'll be reacting to the 30 Sanremo 2024 songs.
A disclaimer. I hadn't addressed this before because I had hoped that the EBU would come to the correct decision by now, but since they have not, I do need to address it myself. Israel should not be allowed to participate at the Eurovision Song Contest 2024. If Russia hadn't been banned in 2022, maybe we'd be having a different conversation right now, and on a personal note, maybe Eurovision wouldn't have become such an important part of my life, but this is the reality that we are living in, so this is the conversation that we are having. Regardless of what you think of the current atrocities happening in Gaza, intentionally cutting off other people's access to food, water and electricity is abhorrent, not to mention the act of killing. If you think governments and broadcasters should be considered as separate entities, consider the situation with Russia again. There is a video explaining why Israel shouldn't be allowed to participate linked in the description, and the creator also calls to action about what you can do yourself. Please watch that video and do something. Further resources are also listed as and when they become relevant. I'll stop talking about this when it stops being relevant.
I don't have much green in my wardrobe, so I've brought back these little friends for green. I've put red under my t-shirt, and this is the button down that I was wearing for Eurovision 2022. I'm also wearing my Eurovision socks from then, so I'm all ready for Italy. Other than the last two blip years where Slovenia was my favourite, Italy is basically always number 1 or 2 in my rankings. I've only gone back as far as 2016, but they pretty much always are. Controversial opinion, but I didn't really love Occidentali's Karma as much, so that one's a bit lower, but everything else is pretty much first or second in my ranking. I imagine that would be the case for like most years. Obviously Italy took a break and they only came back in 2011, so those years they won't be up top because they didn't participate at Eurovision, but I imagine they would have been pretty high up anyway. I'm very excited for Sanremo 2024. This is apparently the last one that Amadeus will be moderating, leading, whatever, and I've never actually watched Sanremo as it's happening before, so I figured I need to watch Sanremo this year because this is the last Amadeus year and he's an icon of Eurovision. I've seen so many compilations after the fact and I can't miss it, to be honest. I do basically understand Italian, not 100% but conversationally, so I'm very excited to watch it. I've not read the lyrics yet because I don't want that to be spoiled for me. Obviously I'll understand bits but not the whole thing, so I'll listen to the songs today and then I'll look at the lyrics properly tomorrow. I'm gonna go in running order, whatever names that stick out to me. I don't know everyone in Italy, so these are just the ones that stick out to me. Obviously I'm intrigued what Mahmoud has to offer. I'm not sure that he should be going to Eurovision for a third time within 5 years, but we'll see what happens. Diodato, very excited about because Fai Rumore was wonderful and I'm really excited. He deserves to go to Eurovision obviously, so if the song's good I think he's one of the no-brainer options really. We have The Colours, who I'm very excited for because they had a big hit. I don't know how far in Europe it was. I don't think it was really all over Europe. I think it was really Italy and for some reason Poland. So I heard it all over the radio while I was in Poland, Italo Disco, and because of that I was also curious, why have we got an Italian hit in Poland? I listened to some of their back catalogue before they were announced to Sanremo 2024 and they all sound like pretty cool songs, right up my alley. So I'm very excited for Un ragazzo una ragazza. But what I have heard that I don't quite necessarily like is that apparently Blanka is in the music video, the Polish representative for 2023. She's in the music video for Un ragazzo, una ragazza, and that I'm not a big fan of, but we'll see what happens. I'm very excited for Il Volo. They obviously won the televote in 2015, so we'll see what they have on offer for us this year. And that's kind of it. I don't really know the other people, so I'm not gonna lie and sit here and tell you I'm so excited for Emma. Obviously Italy has been in the top 6 in the last many years, so it seems to be working for them, but the last time they sent a solo woman was in 2014, I've heard, so I'm not too pleased with that. So if one of the ladies has a great song for us tonight, obviously I'll also be rooting for her because Italy's just very bad at sending women to Eurovision. Sanremo is not a Eurovision national final, but it serves as the selection method, so that's why I'm talking about Eurovision in conjunction with Sanremo. It's, so far, this Eurovision season, the event that I've seen most people be most excited about. Everyone's posting memes like, it's Sanremo week, it's Sanremo week. We're gonna see Amadeus. Obviously Marco Mengoni is hosting tonight as well, so I'm very excited. But in order to stay up till 1:30 AM, I'm gonna have a nap now, and then I'll wake up for Sanremo. Okay, I'll get back to you if anything super interesting is happening during Sanremo, or once I've got a ranking of the songs. We'll see how many I actually tell you about within a video. Sanremo is now over. I have had some pan di stelle biscuits and some estate. I've been having Italian snacks to keep me going. We also found out the top 5 of the journalists, if I've understood correctly, and my top 10 largely overlaps with that. Mahmoud has made it to my 11th place, so just outside of my top 10. I will be sharing my top 10 with you, that's maybe implied in the previous statement, but this is my top 10 when not really listening to the lyrics and upon first listen. There's some songs that I need a few listens to get into, like Fai Rumore, I needed a couple listens and now I love it, but the first few listens I was a bit confused what the entire hype was about. So there could be other songs in here that have the same effect for me. But in 10th place I've got Onde Alta from D'Argent Amico. Surprised me that it's in my top 10. I think maybe the teddy bears convinced me on his suit jacket, but there's a really cool guitar in it and it went a little churchy, which I didn't expect for it. So maybe it was also the element of surprise. Not really churchy, but there was like choral elements or whatever that made me think, oh, this is a really interestingly built song. I would also like to give a special mention to Governo Punk by Bunker 44. Well, I was just utterly confused what the plan is. I don't know if they've existed as a band before, but to me it looks like they grabbed some TikTokers off of Italian TikTok and shoved them in a boy band together and then gave them a kind of kids song to perform just based on the very colourful lights and the melody. I didn't listen to the lyrics, but I imagine based on some of them that it's meant to be about overthrowing the government. So overall it was a very confusing package for me and I had no idea what to make of it. In 9th place I do have Un Ragazzo Una Ragazza by The Colours, which is a pretty obvious song lyric-wise, but for some reason it's really fun. I mean, for some reason, they're just a cool band. It starts with a little bit of disco again, very much 80s influenced, and a lot of funky sounds are happening and they keep changing up throughout the song, so you're never bored. The bridge is pretty brilliant. I just really liked it. The lyrics I don't particularly like, they're very trite and boring, but everything else melodically it's pretty good. It's one of my favourites. In my 8th spot I do have a Vibe by Alpha, which I'm pretty surprised about because I was losing concentration the later it got. I am very tired, so the song clearly worked some kind of magic on me because it was second to last, and the lyrics are very fun and it's got a slight country feel to it, and I don't usually like that, but it worked in this song and there was a good energy on stage, so the performance was also fun. In 7th place I've got Capolavoro by Il Volo. I couldn't recognise 2 out of 3 of them, so I don't know if I've just not been keeping up with them or if they've actually had a member change. It was a pretty dramatic song, as think Il Volo tends to sing. The chorus swells a bit and there's a very cool electric guitar near the end and they just sing it really, really well. I know Il Volo can sing, but I was just really impressed today as well because I think Sanremo maybe allows auto-tune because there were quite a few vocal effects and to me what sounded like auto-tune at times. So I was very impressed by their singing because it didn't sound like auto-tune to me, but maybe my ears are broken or something. I really enjoyed the song anyway. In 6th place I've got Ti Muovi by Diodato, which I was kind of hoping might be a bit higher up and that I would want to send him to Eurovision. I wouldn't mind it obviously because Italian songs to me are basically always up there, and like even the worst songs from Sanremo I prefer to most of the other songs in most of the other national finals. So anything will be fine for Italy. Anything will be in my top half of the ratings basically, unless something disastrous happens. Ti Muovi confused me slightly because there were so many people on stage and I figured they were following some kind of rule about a limit to the number of people on stage because the previous however many songs didn't have as many people on stage, and then Diodato did, and obviously he's allowed to do that at Sanremo I suppose because he did it. Couldn't be the same staging at Eurovision if you were to go. There were very fun twinkling noises within the song. I don't know what on earth they're called, staccato notes maybe, but that was very fun. From what I understand of the lyrics it was kind of about a slightly sad hope. Hope at the end of the day, yes, but not fully optimistic, I guess. I like that he starts the song sitting. That's something we don't often see. I mean, sometimes people sit on the floor, but on these Sanremo stairs, that was a nice little touch. In my 5th spot, I've got L'amore in bocca by Santi Francesi, which also surprised me because it's also one of the very latest songs. So I had enough focus to realise that I liked it. I liked the end much more than the start of the song. The start of the song I don't think would have landed in my top 10, but by the end I was like, oh yeah. It's very atmospheric and the lyrics are angsty and it just keeps getting better. It's a very good song for me, well performed. Obviously for if they were to go to Eurovision, which I doubt because nobody else seems to be that big of a fan of them, then I'd imagine the staging needs to be very much elevated for them to gather any points, but the song really resonated with me at the end. The first half I could take or leave a little bit, but by the end I really got into it. In fourth place I've got Tu No by Irama, which is one of the very first songs. I think it was fifth, and it had just like a really good opening that grabbed my attention right away. It was just a tiny bit slow, but it had a really big ending, so that kind of balanced it out, and the lyrics seem very fun. Once again, not in the actual positive fun way, just in that I enjoy them way, and that it's about a last song for us, like a last kind of attempt, if I've got that right. In my third spot I've got a song that isn't my kind of style at all usually, but this one just really convinced me, so well done. It is Casa Mia by Gali. So I was once again drawn in because it just starts. There's no like preamble at all. Then it does kind of turn back a bit for the first proper verse. I like the line about being zombies with smartphones in their hand. Sono come zombie con il telefono in mano or something like that. There were violins that were really cool. I don't know if that would be kept for the actual studio version / Eurovision version, or if that's just because Sanremo has an orchestra, but I would really like to keep the violins. I learnt the lyrics on the first listen. I was able to kind of mostly sing along to the fast chorus, so I think that's pretty impressive. That's a good sign for the catchiness of the song, and I think a very impressive thing for Gali to have achieved when writing this with the other co-writers, because I don't really know Italian. I understood most of what was happening at Sanremo, but mostly I wasn't focused on all of the lyrics because I was focusing on the performance and the melodies as well, so I can't focus on like 3 or 4 things at once. But here I really could mostly sing along to the fast chorus by the end of the first listen, so I'm very impressed. And the hippo in the crowd was a fun touch. I let my brain then wonder if it would also be possible at Eurovision, and to be honest, I don't know. But I think it could be. That you have your stage, but you just expand it into the crowd as well. And I think that was a pretty innovative idea. In my second spot, I've got Mariposa by Fiorella Manoia, which is a Spanish word for butterfly, but she does also sing farfalla within the song. And interestingly enough, to me, maybe I'm misunderstanding both of them, but to me the lyrics sound like they're in a similar vein to Zora. Less intense, less like reclaiming a bad word, and more just kind of like, I'm gonna keep loving me the way I am. But I have a weak spot for some reason for songs where just lots of stuff is listed. Hot and Cold by Katy Perry was my favourite song for forever. Easy Love by R5 was also the #1 song for months if not years. And I guess if we're going back to Sanremo, Musica Leggerissima by Colpascia and Di Martino. For literally months I could play it on loop all day for multiple days a week because the bridge has listing in it. I don't know, that song also just really caught my attention. So I just love songs where stuff is listed for some reason. It really goes hard. I think this is a really cool song. To me it's brilliant. But it was testing my vocab, because when you're listing things you're not doing the standard vocab that's in every single song ever, so I've understood the lyrics completely. I was way more focused on the lyrics than I was with the other songs, so I understood more of the lyrics, so maybe that's also part of the reason why I like it more. I would like to find out why it's called Mariposa and not Farfalla. In my first spot I've got an obvious winner for me. I was just really vibing to it the whole time, listening to it for the first time, and I think the chorus is basically addictive. It is Sinceramente by Annalisa, which I'm very happy to see was in the top 5. I don't 1000% understand what that means. It sounds to me like she's got a secured spot in the final on the Saturday, but I'm not 1000% sure, because as I say, I'm very tired and I can't focus. Maybe Amadeo said something else, but that's what I understood from there. It was also like Italian disco music at the start, and it has angsty lyrics. It hits all my weak spots. A slightly repetitive chorus. There's a brilliant beat and just good sass to go with the song, and the bridge is dark, and then there's some swinging violins as well, which is always a weak spot as well. But the end as well, where she goes Sinceramente tua, mic drop moment. Honestly, loved it. I would love for her to go to Eurovision for Italy, because as I said in the intro, they haven't sent a woman for forever, and obviously don't send a female artist just because you haven't in a while. That shouldn't be the criteria. Yes, it would be nice, but you should send the best song. However, Sinceramente is by far my favourite song of the lineup on first listen, because she was earlier on as well and I was more focused earlier on. And also Sanremo just dragged on for so long that I don't even exactly remember how to compare the songs, because it was so long. I watched it for 5 hours while listening to 30 songs. It should not be that long. If they're of normal Eurovision length, listening to 30 songs should take 1.5 hours. Because these tend to be a bit longer, it should have been 2 hours. It was 5 hours. Yes, it was funny. and I'll get into that in a moment. But I don't know if I can even compare the songs in the first half of the second half because my concentration was going. But I really wanted to experience an Amadeus Sanremo, so today I made it a priority on the first night, listening to the songs for the first time. Some of my points, critiques, things I've noticed about Sanremo: I could definitely have a familiarity bias. The artists who have already gone to Eurovision / I know have already gone to Eurovision, because I think Emma has also been to Eurovision and I didn't put her song very near the top, and obviously Gelato, who hasn't been to Eurovision but was chosen, so I know Fire Rumore. So I might have a slight familiarity bias and place those artists higher. I apologise for that, but I cannot find a way to account for it fairly, so I'll just leave it in. There was a very sweet moment for Jojo, and I was in tears at that moment as well, so it's a good on Sanremo for incorporating something like that if it's important. If this was someone who was or wanted to be in the orchestra, I'm not really sure. That was really wonderful. So yes, I complained Sanremo was too long, but stuff like that is stuff that shouldn't be taken out. If Sanremo was shorter though, maybe my rankings would have been a bit truer, because maybe all of the later songs are at a disadvantage, because as I say, my concentration was going. And there were some very weird skits, but it was funny. It was at times almost a mix of a music festival and like a comedy show. What especially stood out to me, I guess, is Ricchi e Poveri coming out in the big bow. That was odd. The teddy bear suit as well. But more importantly, Amadeus and Marco Mengoni, where they, obviously the classic handcuffs thing, but more importantly the no kiss thing. That was a bit weird. Like, yes, funny to an extent, but also, who even came up with that? Like, what goes through your head to create a no kiss barrier thing? I don't know. And then Marco kind of bringing 10 million props on stage for the sake of explaining old songs that did go to Eurovision / win Sanremo. I did like his picket signs way of like, oh, we're only halfway through. There were over 20 songs done, and how many are left? 1 is left. So that was also funny. They also changed their clothes a lot more often than I expected to, because usually the stereotype is that women have to get constantly changed during these kind of things and men just stay in the same black suit for the whole 5 hours. So in a way, it's nice that they changed their clothes so often. In a way, I don't know if it's necessary for anyone, but if they wanted to. And also, there were news for 2 minutes in the middle of Sanremo, and I don't know what 2 minutes worth of news will actually achieve for anyone, but I've never experienced Sanremo before, and I'm very glad to have experienced it the once, but I don't know what will happen the rest of the week. And obviously, as far as I can, I will watch some of the more interesting performances that get talked about afterwards. I don't know if that's possible though, because I've never been able to find Sanremo stuff consistently on YouTube. I guess they don't want it there. Only like 30 seconds worth. So that's my top 10 after the first listen. I would love Sinceramente to go to Eurovision, but we'll have to wait and see how Sanremo develops. And obviously everyone can also always say, nah, I don't want to go to Eurovision, and then the second place can go. From my understanding, that happens a bit more often in Italy than in other countries, because Sanremo isn't a national final. But I would really love Sinceramente to go to Eurovision. But overall, a very good job to everyone organising Sanremo. I would like it to be a bit shorter, but I imagine for Italians this is like one of the highlights of the year, and I also really enjoyed watching it today. I don't mean any hate, it was very entertaining, and there are just a few bits of Italian culture that I don't currently get and probably will never get, but it was very entertaining. And I'm pretty impressed with how much I understood as well, because, as I say, my concentration was going somewhere else, maybe to Italy, because it was not staying with me. Thank you ever so much for watching this video. I really do hope that you enjoyed it, that you got something out of it. I'll see you in the next one, whether that shows up on your feed. Bye! Yep, it's 2 AM. How many times will I yawn?